The Chaos Awakes event is in full swing here in Raid Shadow Legends, and I want to break the whole thing down. I'm going to be blunt from the first few seconds of this video. I am not enjoying this event even one iota. I brought a friend on who tends to find the enjoyment in everything. The beautiful, the brilliant Cole Red Plays. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Fasti. It's good to be here. It's been a little while. Usually we do like 3 of these a month or something. It's been like a whole month since our last one, so I'm excited to be back.
Yeah, we've been pretty good about one a month at least. We have little blips where we're like knock out 3 in a couple weeks, but I think one a month at least is pretty cool. So great to have you back. I put Thalin Falbeard behind us. Coolest looking character in the game. I think he's got an argument.
Very.
Not the coolest looking DPS from what I'm seeing. But all in all, I kind of want to mostly give you the floor a couple seconds on my experience with this event. The event dungeon is cool. I'm happy it's back. It's my first real opportunity on this account where I'm just about at exactly 4 months. So having the event dungeon back and the opportunity to farm up some pinpoint was very exciting to me. But really quickly, I hit a wall, which I'm sure I'll get a little higher, but that was like the end of the new content. Now it's just been farming. We got a fusion. It's a fusion. We got this coalition event, which I just really, really, really don't like. And I'm sure we're going to unpack that in this video. And all in all, it's just, I don't know, maybe I was coming into it with the rosiest glasses because it was my big return to Raid and the Alice event was going on a couple months ago and I was just enjoying it so much. Everything was fresh and now it doesn't feel fresh and I'm not into this event. I would love to get your thoughts, sir.
Well, all events are not created equal, right? Each one kind of has its own flavor and I think different things are going to appeal to different people. But before we get too much into the event, I do want to say I like Tholin's look. I think he's a very cool looking character, one of the best looking dwarf characters in the game. There are several really cool looking dwarf characters in the game. But there's another brand new champion that was just introduced who's actually one of the progressive legendaries, Krako's Turndrake.
Yeah.
I think he is a very cool looking champion as well. So, even if the event itself hasn't been absolutely perfect, the champions that they've introduced during this recent time frame are very cool looking, and that's satisfying for in its own way.
Can't argue with that at all. I also really like his kit. I'm hoping to find someone. If anyone pulled a copy and hasn't built out, I'd love to test him out. But yeah, he looks phenomenal. Definitely has that thing. I think we probably would have talked about on an early video, maybe on your channel, where I'm sure I bitched and moaned about the rendering of some of these characters. But then with some of the new characters, it's just perfect, and this is perfect, right? It's same with Thalin. It's like crystal clear. It looks amazing. I'll definitely concede that. I don't know. Viewers know, maybe dwarves are by far my favorite faction, so I was unbelievably hyped for this. My defining Raid experience, though I'd been playing for a while, it was like the most aggressive I've ever made content was the Brogni fusion, who I pulled, by the way, which I'm very excited about. But look at the render on this guy. I mean, it's night and day compared to the Turndrake.
Yes.
But that was like the most fun I ever had in Raid, probably. Also the least fun. That's kind of the duality of Raid. But yeah, I just love the dwarfs. And I guess for me, it's like I love Acrizia, but I wish they showed her face. So I think Thalin is probably my favorite design in the whole game, honestly. So I guess that's a huge W for the event because we are going to get him, right? So that's cool.
Well, tell me, what is your disappointment with him as a DPS?
I've watched like every creator's video I could find. I try to you'll feel this, and not saying all the other CCs aren't amazing, but we don't have test server, and I'm just watching and like in my head screaming what I would do. And then I'm sure other people disagree with that. But as someone who like in my other game, Watch of Realms, I'm like one of the leading people on test server, and I do all the tests exactly how I want them, and I get all the information right away that I want. And then I feel like I have to watch 6 videos for a new character in Raid to piece together what I think I need to know. But I watched a lot of good videos. I often settle on Scratch. It's not perfect, but he does a lot of things how I would want to set up the controls. Yeah, and what he showed was like pretty close to how I would have set it up, and the DPS just wasn't there. Like he's not bad at all. Nothing's bad, but nothing was exciting. And then couple that with that announcement, which I haven't covered yet on the channel, so I'll cover it now. They announced on Discord that he cannot grant an extra turn if he's an ally attack. Which is, I think, sucks.
Which will probably also extend to counterattacks because they tend to be coded the same.
Counterattacks this is just in my head. That makes sense. Ally attacks does not make sense. I guess because it's like active versus reactive. But that really bummed me out because that was something that went into my head when I saw the DPS being lower. I'm like, well, you run him with a Morag or something, and next thing you know, you're cooking with gas. So I feel like they pulled that rug from under us. And yeah, I just feel like why? Like, why are the DPSs lower than Alice? Like, why is that a thing? Like, why is any of this a thing? And I just don't get it. And I don't think the kit has enough with the hype behind this to justify them requiring us to fuse him, use him to progress through the coalition event, and then selling him as this unit that's going to dominate the event dungeon, where I think you'd be pretty freaking hard pressed without a god tier account to make true deep progress. That's where I stand. But I'm here. I'm having you on because I want to hear where you stand.
Yeah, I do think the event dungeon connection is more thematic than practical for him. I do like his kit. I think I'm already theory crafting cool teams that I think I could use him for that are different than the ones that I've seen other content creators do on the test server. His DPS wasn't disappointing in the videos that I watched. It was, maybe a notch off of Thor, and Thor is very good. Thor is up there amongst the top kind of like 2% of damage dealers. So if he's a little bit worse than that, he might still be in the top 10% of damage dealers, which is, I think, very respectable for a fusion. And you have to remember, like, for a champion like this, if this is your first fusion, I always think about it that way. If this is your first fusion,
sure.
How excited are you going to be? And I think you would be pretty excited for this guy to be your first fusion.
And also, to be clear, I'm viewing this through content creator eyes. As a player, he's going to help my account in a crazy way because I've been saving, thinking this would be a crazy fusion and end up being a solid fusion. But I'm going to be able to get the 5-star soul, which is like there's nothing stronger for an account like mine that's doesn't get souls. Like I don't even pull them at this point. I can't deal with the disappointment. I decided I'm going to save. I'm going to save until they do whatever that. Was he an Ogren guy, the defense-based guy that was right when I came back to the game? This guy.
Oh, right.
Right when I started playing, it was like, hey, if you pull a bunch of souls for a deck of fate, you get this guy legit for free. Obviously, it's a lot of souls, but I've just kind of in my head committed, and I guess I'm announcing on the channel now, I don't want to pull any souls. I don't care if it hurts my account until one of these comes, and I'm ready to go. Because it feels like the only good use without feeling like you're getting punched in the gut.
That's the only time that's happened that I can remember, and I didn't get him either. So.
Oh, really? Well, maybe I'll be waiting for a couple years.
You might be waiting a long time.
Yeah, fair enough. I hear you. And like, yeah, the strength of having these fusions where you can get the soul, which I've been really disappointed on with some of these other fusions. Like I was completely prepared for Ishiyama, and then they didn't have, it was just through the champ chase and someone sniped me at the last second. But yeah, I think for a lot of players like lower tier, like myself, it is a really cool fusion. I just, you know what it is? I guess it's because it's a content creator and I want to see joy within the community. And then I want to hand this off to you. I just feel like, and a lot of advanced players are just going to think of this fusion as a fart, for better or worse. Just because it's like it's been a couple fusions since we had Fabian, who's obviously awesome. Not that everyone needs to be awesome, but I think he's going to be a vault keeper on a lot of accounts. That doesn't mean he's bad, but it's just like, what are you doing? Like you're theming a ton of the event around this. You have to use him for the coalition events for a lot of it to progress through. And I just think a lot of people are going to view this as a chore instead of a joy. And to me, that sucks.
It's strange because, like I said, each event is different. Not all events are created equal. We started with the Asgard Divide. That was the first of these types of Plarium created events, as opposed to, doing collabs with other companies for their intellectual property. And that event had 4 good champions. So all 4 champions were actually extremely valuable, and you would still be using them today, 6 months on from the event or 9 months on from the event at this point. With Alice, it was, the champions were good, but maybe not quite as good, although I really liked Alice as a login champion. I thought she was fantastic. And obviously the queen is pretty baller. But I do think that for this fusion, you maybe came back at the wrong time, to view this fusion in a positive light, because Fabian is likely to be the best fusion that we have all year. We're not going to get another Fabian.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think it was you on my channel who recapped the 2024 fusions for me. And it's like Armand's and Yostrid and Thor. And I mean, and I think there's at least 1 or 2 big ones I'm forgetting. So you're talking about at least a good one every 3 months. I mean, maybe some more popped into your head just now. But what I'm seeing right now is I actually have all the fusions, funny enough. Even though I skipped Esme, I ended up pulling her. And I don't use any of them that aren't named Fabian, right? I will use Thalin just because I don't have a single force DPS, and I'm going to get the soul, and my account's not good.
I think that this year's fusions have been disappointing. And that he feels to me like what I would call a slightly above average fusion. I think he's not S tier, but I think he's a solid A tier. And it kind of depends. As a free to play player, I always go back to, and a content creator, I always go back to like, if you're at 6 months into the game, does this guy move your account? And he certainly does.
Yeah.
If you're in your first year, this guy is going to be one of your best champions, I believe, unless you're a big spender or you're massively lucky. I think even on my 4-year-old account, I'm going to find a use for him.
Yeah.
It depends. I mean, again, how is that damage? But like I said, I think his kit is interesting enough that I'm theory crafting some kind of different things that I'm thinking about, and maybe we can find even if it's just one really good use for him, all of a sudden then he becomes a must-have champion even for late game accounts. And so that could happen here. We got some big brains in the community. They're going to be theory crafting around this guy. And, in the next month, we'll see whether or not he lands in an important spot or he just becomes, like you said, a vault keeper, which he could very well become for most late game accounts.
Yeah, no, I totally hear that. And definitely the theme of this video, I didn't want to just like go in on Thalin because undeniably he's really good for certain accounts. But I think undeniably he's, at least as it stands now, fairly useless for a lot of accounts. And I just wish they came at it with, it's as simple as, what if he hit harder? What if he hit as hard as Thor? Like, is that crazy? Like, why? Like, why not? Like, I think a developer makes a conscious decision to set bars and then should be beholden to said bars. So, like, Alice was the last login champ. Let's talk about the newest login champ. I don't have her infographic up. Give me one sec. Okay, there we found it on the Hell Hades website, which, funny enough, he has written as worst free champ. And I'll tell you, reading this champ's kit when it was like that infographic the partner creators get was like leaked and then started showing up, I was like gobsmacked. Not that she needed to be as good as Alice, but I mean, not even that Alice is so good, but this is like the most confused, wacky kit. This kit could only be saved by her having god tier multipliers. And at that point, it's like not even a kit. It's just like,
right.
Hey, she hits crazy hard. Don't you want her? Which would be great. And I guess we'll find out. But what was your reaction to this? Because to me, it is about the event. And the way they also are doing this, which I actually don't know, do they always do it that the Champ Chase login event is delayed after the launch of the event?
Yeah, that's what they've been doing.
Okay.
That's what I recall. I mean, this is only the third event of this type. So they may still be playing with sort of the rollout schedule, but this is what I remember from the last 2 events. What I'll say is this: overall, I think this event is different than the last 2, right? Because the first one was Asgard Divide, and that's leaning on Norse mythology. People know these characters. You can even lean into the Marvel, cinematic universe that's been borrowing these characters for the last several years. And so whether it's, Odin or Freya or Thor or Loki, like these are well-known names, their characters are well-known, and people already have an established relationship, a lot of people, with these characters.
Yeah.
And so they're excited to see them in the game, and they're excited to like hear about how they're been put into the game. Alice was a different thing entirely. Alice was a or I guess not a different thing entirely, but it was a story. It was a story that
well, if I could interrupt. Yeah, I would say, but it is kind of, you could think of as Norse mythology as a story. No offense to people, I guess, that are practicing religious people of Norse mythology. And then with Alice, it's like that book is such a part of popular culture. That story is such a part. I mean, it's been around long enough that this was, public domain. That's why they were able to use it. That, yeah, it felt familiar. And even if you don't remember the Cheshire Cat, we remember that cartoon of the big smile, whether you've read the book or not, right? And now they're introducing these rando characters, and then there's nothing to latch on to, where it's like, I know some people were disappointed by Loki. I would love to have Loki on my account. I love his kit.
Loki's pretty good.
As weird as it is. But even if you didn't like the kit and you didn't want to deal with the weirdness, you're like, okay, he's the trickster god, and this kit is a confusing, tricky mess, Whereas with this, it's like, I don't know. The Lemony thing blew my mind because, yeah, I guess I went into the whole thing with a bad taste because, like, I love a totally free thing, just like a login thing, and we'll see, right? We'll see. But to me, this is like, I don't get how you can set a bar with Alice. Not that the bar's through the roof, but it's here, and this feels like many, many degrees away,
It is, I think. And my first impression was disappointed, not as disappointed as Hell Hades was. I'm always trying to see
Was he very
how a
disappointed?
free-to-play player would make use of this kit.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of things that I could see could be beneficial. It's not a great kit. It's not a great champion. We don't know her stats yet, I don't think. But the disappointing thing for me with this event that like you alluded to, or you just said out loud, was that we're not attached to these characters. We're not attached. We don't know who they are. They don't come from anywhere. If you are trying to build an IP from scratch, you need to do something to attach us to the characters. And if you're not going to give us like more videos, like they did one video, like give us a video every week during the event so we can watch the story unfold. And then all of a sudden we care about the characters. Or you have to make the characters interesting and good.
Yeah.
And it's like preferably you do both, but they haven't done either. And as a result, I have no emotional attachment outside of the idea of like, what can this champion do for my account?
Maybe they big brained it. They're like, oh, some of these characters suck, so we shouldn't have them grow attached. Because imagine you fell in love with the lore of Lemonici only to find out that at max skill ups, this legendary character's A3 has a 75% chance to place a debuff. That blew my mind. This can't be a hot take at all, but this blew my mind.
Yeah, that's strange that it's not 100% on both. But the other weird thing is they went through a process of developing this champion, and like we're going to get to see her in game and see what her character model looks like. And if she looks as cool as Tholen, it's like that's going to be super disappointing because it's like another
you want to use her,
design of a champion that you want to use, and there's no reason to. So yeah, I do feel that disappointment there. I thought she was pretty weak.
Yeah,
I don't know about setting the bar with Alice though. I don't think like Alice is like if you look at the history of free login champions, you could say they set the bar with Ninja, and it's like they've really only
setting a bar.
Met that bar maybe 2 other
I'm not
times.
trying to say I said that wrong. I'm not trying to say like this is the new perfect ideal of a login champ. I'm just saying it's like they put a benchmark. They peg themselves at a certain level,
sure,
and then they completely undercut themselves. And I just think how do they expect the player base not to be upset? That's what I'm trying to say. They've calibrated a certain expectation, and then they blew it. I mean, and to be frank, even if Lemonici has god tier multipliers, I don't care. It's just a stupid kit. Like I don't care. Yeah. Like it's just a stupid kit. Like it's trying to do 12 things and not do any of them right. I hate this whole. It's the Chaos Awakes event, right? It's all about chaos and demons, but then it's like 2 Sylvan Watchers, a demon, and a dwarf. And like they keep trying to throw this corrupted alliance thing at us. Does anyone? I mean, I've been away from the game for a while. I couldn't tell you the name of any of these quad faction groupings. Like obviously they were in the gallery. Is this? I know some characters have this, but they're really trying to force it. Like I can't imagine like your whole strat is broken open because you're like, oh wait, I'm going up against the corrupted alliance. Let's get Tholen in there. I mean, the average player is not making those considerations.
So there's kind of 2 sides of that coin, right? The positive side, I would say, is that in the storyline that they've created, it's the Nyrusin Union specifically that's fighting against the demon spawn. So it makes sense to get a Sylvan Watcher and a Dwarf and a Shadowkin, like because those are the 3 factions. And then you would get the demon, right? That would be the big bad from the event dungeon. But on the flip side, why? Like, why create more faction-specific skills in the game, which don't really never ever
have a place
and never been popular? And they've done it before. In fact, my favorite character in the game, which is Cardiel, has like an alliance-specific skill, and so he places fears on like demons and undead and stuff, right? Yeah. But like that's nobody else, just those factions. And you know what? It helps every once in a while, but most of the time I don't even pay attention to it. I never pick him for that skill.
For sure. It's like it's coincidental. Yeah. I bet you some players are going to be surprised. Like, oh, why can't they crit on my Tholen? Like you're going to forget it's a thing. It's not an active part of whatever chess dictates gameplay within Raid. Yeah. So I just, like even as you were talking about the Asgard divide, I guess if you quizzed me, I would have figured it out, but it didn't occur to me that they were all barbarians. But being here, I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's like a bunch of Norse barbarians. I kind of like that. With the Alice stuff, it was all over the place, but it kind of fits into the design of each character. And I just thought the Alice thing was very cool. I guess to take it home, what do you think about the Coalition event? I wasn't a fan of this Coalition event, just looking at it, because to me, it's just like more CVC. Hey, check these boxes, do this stuff, the stuff I really don't like in games. And I wasn't a fan before I even found out you needed Thalin for all of this. And at first, before you ended up telling me, I thought it was like, well, this is also going to screw new players because you need to get Thalin, and how are you going to fuse him fast enough? Obviously, you can get him now through the new Thalin code. But am I correct in thinking that then you're using your new code on Thalin?
Right.
Like as opposed to Hanorok?
The other legendaries.
Yeah, I mean,
right.
What are we doing?
Well, it may be that if you're thinking about progression, that Thalin is actually the better early game champion, although Hanorok is extremely good as well.
I think if you had to just pick an early game champ, I'd pick Alice or Supreme Gallic.
Yeah. But I think the other interesting thing, which is weird, they've never done this before, is this is a fusion champion, and the fusion is ongoing, and a new player can get the fusion before anybody could complete the fusion.
Yeah.
So
true.
The first people to actually get the champion are going to be the new players. Like, we have to wait 2 weeks, but a new player could get it today, which is just weird. But okay, so let's talk about the Coalition, because I actually don't mind this Coalition as much as you do.
Okay. Tell me why.
First of all, I don't think they're requiring me to use Thalin, but there are benefits to using him, right? Like, there are several quests for him, which could get you a lot of points. But you can still hit the point total just by crushing the repeat quests over and over and over again. You're going to get those points if you need them. But as a free-to-play player, I just like things that give me free resources. And so this is an event, and this is another thing that potentially encourages people to try all of the different areas of the game and then get decent I mean, the reward track is like robust. This is a good reward track. It's one of the better ones we've seen, and it goes on for a long time, which is really nice, because in the past, sometimes they've had events where it's like, oh, you're done with all of the rewards in a week or 2 weeks, and the event goes on for 6 weeks. But this one feels like, maybe it'll be the same. Maybe I'll be done with it in 2 weeks. But it feels like it's going to take me probably 3 or 4 weeks to complete this reward track.
I think you'll definitely complete it with well over half of the event left. Not that really matters to me.
Potentially possible.
Yeah. Knowing the way you play.
But it's...
yeah. Once you get Thalin, you're going to get a bunch of points, which I guess maybe that's the trade-off. Sorry, I'm quickly went into the arena because I just saw, like, I was going to show off how much I'm not engaging with the Coalition event because I really don't like it, that I hadn't done any of the repeat quests. But then I noticed one of them was kill people in the arena, and I'm doing my arena every day. So I just wanted to figure out why that wasn't updating. I guess it is. I don't know. I don't. That's weird.
They just reset today.
Oh, okay, it's daily. Yeah, because I'm really just not. I'm not doing it. Like, I'm thinking I'll get to the finish line if it gets close, and I think I might not finish it. I'll scramble at the end, but I don't want to let these things dictate my gameplay. That's my internal protest.
Yeah, it looks like they reset every 3 days. You can actually see that timer up there. It says 2 days, 11 hours, and then it actually tells you how many times you've completed it. So, like, in the last 13 hours, I've already completed the arena one 5 times, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, so
it's crazy.
I don't know. Is it a reason to play Raid more? Not really. Is it something to get super, like, is it super fun? No. But is it giving me something that I wouldn't get otherwise that I can then use to leverage in my account and get more progress or power or benefit and then have more fun? Yeah. Yeah, I think it is. And, give me more legendary tomes. Give me more, forged materials. Give me all that stuff. I want those gems. So I would say from that standpoint, I don't feel bad about it. Like, anytime Raid wants to give me more stuff for free, I say, yeah, bring it on.
Yeah. I'm with you. But, like, here it is, right? Like, I'm not engaging with it. And what am I at? 600 million? Is that right? So I'm like over halfway done.
That's the whole community. We're all at 600 million collectively.
Okay. I'm really not.
You're right here. You're right.
Oh, I'm down here. There we go. Okay, so I'm at.
There you
are. I'm like 7% of the way done. 6% of the way done or something. Feels more reasonable. Yeah. No, I hear you. I love the freebies. I'll always love freebies. You know what it is though? You're like, does this make me want to play? No. Am I having fun doing it? No. But do I love the rewards? Yes. I hear all that, right? But I just wish, other games are coming out. Another game just came out. Ethereum just came out. That's where I'm putting all my time right now. Like, to be perfectly frank, of course, because it's new and it's honeymoony and that's cool. But like, it's fresh
Right.
stuff. And like, if I was Raid, like, yeah, you can hire creators to run sponsored channels and stuff, right? Like, yours truly right here. But you could also like make stuff in the game that gets people jazzed up themselves. So
Yes.
like, this doesn't get me jazzed up. Like, the worst Watch of Realms event we've ever had is more interesting than this, in my opinion, and at least as generous, if not more. I just it sucked to see, because I, in my head, Raid had kind of turned a bit of a corner. Not that the game isn't still good. In a lot of ways, it's still very good. But I just feel like this is half-assed when it comes to like player engagement and retention and making sure people have a good time when it didn't need to be.
All right, so let me address that, because I do, like, there is a silver lining to me, and I've been thinking about this because I, like you, have not been overly excited about the event, although I see some positives in it, and I like the fusion more than you do.
Personally, I love the fusion. I just don't like what I don't. You know what? I want the fusion to make everyone happy. I wish they had one thing, like you said, and maybe they're going to find that one thing. But I wish there was one thing that made even the biggest, unless you're a crazy endgame kraken, like anyone being like, like even a boozer, free to play but been playing forever, like, I'll fund you. So I'll make, not just like I'll go hunting for it. He's like, oh, that's a unique buff, or oh, that's a unique mechanism. Like, I just wish it had at least that.
I think my silver lining is this. Plarium has a bad reputation in terms of how they treat players and player retention and the player experience. But it feels to me like these events that they've been doing have been a positive change overall, right? First of all, it's something different rather than just doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's a little bit different. If they're trying to, when MTG bought this intellectual property, one of the things that they did is they called it an evergreen property, and they want to develop this IP as an IP. They want it to potentially become the foundation of other games, of other media. And I think in order to do that, you have to do things like this, right? You have to do an event that's not based on somebody else's work. It can't be based on Norse mythology. It can't be based on some novel written 100 years ago. It has to be based on what you're doing in-house. And this is their first attempt at that. And I'm not really impressed yet, but at least they're moving in a direction that maybe they'll get better at it. Maybe they'll do more of this. Maybe they'll roll other things into this that will get us excited. And then we'll look back at this and be like, oh, this was the start of something positive. I don't know that that's true, but that's my hope.
Yeah. So if this got the ball rolling, and then like a year from now, like if they were to rerun this event, right, you get a Lemnisci quest line where before we all get her 4 weeks later from the champ chase, you all get a free copy when you do event specific, the Lemnisci Tower, and it's 12 floors, and they require, like, that's awesome, right? Like, that's sick. Obviously it's higher effort. It's going to be a lot harder, but not that and you need to immediately hold them to that standard. But if they're on that trajectory, sure. But what I see here is like a one wave dungeon, with some kind of goofy mechanics in my opinion, but at least it's cool. But like, you're going to solve it, or you're going to wait till CC solves it, and GG, right? Basically GG. Like, that's it on the new content. And then it's like checkbox completion stuff. So I'm glad I had you on, because you bring a lot of, bright side to it, and I do see that. And undeniable, I can't get over how I'm still going to use Stalin everywhere, because he just looks so cool, and it's not like I've got the most competitive account, so I'm still going to use him. And I want to point out one other thing, which they nailed with Thalin: 4 books, 3 books, 3 books. That's my thing, baby.
Yeah.
If it's a free champ, I want 10 books. Lemnisci's
Maybe
11 books. Yeah, I love that. So yeah, I mean, there's enough good. There's like positive meat on the bone, but overall, for all the hype, I mean, so there's been 3 ever in 9 months. So at best, they're doing these quarterly. Probably it's going to be a little less. It seems like that's the pacing. I mean, these should be the hypest moments, and it shouldn't just be, I saved all my energy for the event dungeon, and that's all I'm going to do. That should be part of it, but that shouldn't be all of it. And that's what this is all going to end up being for me, right? I'll get my Thalin, and then I'm going to find what's the minimum I can do every day and just do the event dungeon. And before you know it, you'll forget that there's red stuff everywhere, and it will be gone.
I'm curious to hear what other people think about the event as we get into it. I haven't really gotten a clear sense of what my community feels about this event right now. And, it might be different for spenders and free to players. It might be different for new players versus longtime players. So yeah, I'm curious to hear what people think about it.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to end it. Guys, definitely let us know below in the comment section how you're enjoying it so far. If you want to be a real tryhard, you could check in. You could let us know now and then check in a month from now and let us know how you're feeling about it then. Colred, it's been a pleasure to have you on and get
Thank you, sir.
probably a bit more thoughtful takes than I was going to provide by myself. So that's pretty great. Thank you to Mitchell for editing this video. We're headed over to your channel right now or a couple hours from now or tomorrow. By the time you see this video, they're both coming out. So go watch that video. That's what I'm trying to say. And we're going to talk about spending and why you should never do it. No, maybe you should do it. We'll find out. Thank you guys. Share with your mother. I've been Fastidious. That's been Colred. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Fastidious.